guys, welcome to Really Janet. I'm B,
And I'm Brand.
and we're here to discuss all things true crime, lore, paranormal, and some trauma. I'm B. I love cats. I have 5 myself. I am newly married to my best friend, and I'm pretty boring otherwise. I'm the cool, childless aunt for now, so
And we are sisters.
yes, we are sisters.
I'm Brand. I've been married 10 years to my husband, and I have 2 kids. I'm a housekeeper, homeschooler, and a Sunday school teacher. And I'm pretty boring as well.
We have decided to create this podcast slash YouTube channel to kind of commemorate our granny, Janet, which is where we got the name Really Janet, because unfortunately we do have a lot of trauma at her expense. And yeah, we just kind of want to talk about that, work through some of it with humor and, some other spooky stuff. And
Because as this video goes on, you will start to understand that that's how we deal with our trauma. We have dark humor, and that's how we deal with things, is just to laugh at it.
our granny was very much the same way. She had a phenomenal sense of humor due to just all the trauma she had been through in her life.
Yes.
And she would be laughing at these jokes too with us. So,
Yes.
any jokes we make at her expense, there's no disrespect there.
No.
We know that she would be laughing right along with us if she was here. Among our favorite stories from our beloved granny was the time that she caught me on fire. One of the times she caught me on fire, I
Because there
should
were
say.
multiple times,
There
yes.
was, yes. So excuse me for that. Multiple times. She was an avid smoker for many, many years. Thankfully, she quit in the last probably, 10 years of her life?
Yes. Let us add that she only quit because she broke her hip and she couldn't get outside to smoke.
That is correct. She broke her hip twice trying to
Yes.
smoke, and so she finally gave it up. Our dad was taking her to a doctor's appointment. I was home from school that day for some reason. I was sitting behind her in the car. She, had the window cracked, was smoking her cigarette. Well, she goes to throw it out the window. It gets sucked back into the window, lands in my lap. My little velveteen pants, my favorite pants of all time. They're burgundy. They had little sparkles at the bottom. It was the 90s of it all. They went ablaze. My dad obviously noticed that I was on fire because I was yelling, and she did not notice.
She was generally unbothered
She
by
was
many
very,
things.
very unbothered by my screaming from right behind her that I was on fire. Dad's still driving, smacking my leg trying to put the fire out, and Granny's just la-di-da. What's going on? He's like, Mom, you caught her on fire. Like, I'm trying to put her leg out. I was okay, obviously. I'm here, so no
Yeah.
scars.
Your pants were not okay, though.
No scars from that, anyway.
No.
I have many other
Your
scars.
pants were unfortunately ruined.
My pants, they had probably I'd say a dime size hole in them. Luckily, Velveteen, I found out, is semi slow burning.
It's pretty resilient.
Well, I don't know about that. I did wear them for some years after
Yeah,
that
you did.
until I couldn't wear them anymore. But I was still sad that there was a cigarette burn in them.
One of my favorite stories of Granny, she went through this phase for most of our childhood where she really liked the little battery operated fountains. I'm sure that y'all remember these from the 90s. You put batteries in it and then put your rocks in it, your little pebbles. She was cleaning the whole house, and she was very fond of getting her Diet Dr. Pepper or her Diet Coke. If she was obsessed with both, she would get a big gulp at the Exxon or the Waggles, and so she kept these cups, and she would just use her own ice from her freezer and pour her a drink. So this day she was cleaning out her water fountains, and she had put all of her stones in one of those Exxon cups. She was bebopping around the house cleaning, and these were slimy, gross, like algae ridden rocks. She had walked off to do something and got sidetracked. Well, she came back and she was really bad about just making a cup of ice and walking off and getting sidetracked, and then she'd come back. So just shook the cup and heard something rattle. So she assumed that it was ice from, her ice trays, and it was not. It was those slimy rocks. And
Spoiler
so
alert, it wasn't ice.
yeah, it wasn't ice. So she poured her Diet Dr. Pepper on top and took her a big swig and immediately spit it out when I guess when it smelled, when it tastes like earth in her mouth, she kind of realized
Mhm.
that it was something wasn't right. So
Typically, that puts a little bit of a damper on
yeah,
things.
me and B were over there when that happened, and it was
Name
very
dropping.
funny.
That reminds me of the time. I don't know if y'all remember those little candy cigarettes, not the ones that were like
Oh
crunchy, but the
yes.
ones that were bubble gum that had the powder inside that you would like blow the
I think
powder out.
they were King's candy cigarettes, if I remember correctly.
Me and Bran decided to get a pack of those, from the little store down the road. And we decided we were going to play a trick on her because she was kind of oblivious.
Yeah.
And two, her eyesight was not great. And she was always losing her glasses. So at any given time, she might not be able to see anything in front of her or it was blurry. We decided to take it another step further because our aunt, which is her sister, she was also a smoker, but she would throw all of her empty like cigarette boxes in, the floorboard of her truck.
Hmm.
So we went and snuck in her truck and got one of her little Marlboro boxes. We slid our little, candy cigarette pack inside the real pack and we went and sat on her couch and we both pulled one out and she always had lighters everywhere, so we even decided to light the end of it or pretend we were trying to, and it took her a second to dial in 'cause she was watching QVC like always. Finally she looks over and she just, you could see the color drain from her face, you could see the sheer panic, and like you could just see all the, I don't know if you know the meme I'm talking about. I want to say it's Sarah Paulson, where like all the numbers are going by and she's like,
Yes.
the one. That was
Yes.
her in that moment. And so she starts hollering. She's like, "What are y'all doing? What are y'all doing?" Like at this point, I was like 8. She was maybe 13.
Yeah.
And
And we said, "Well, you smoke, so why can't we?
yeah,
We know you started smoking young. That's not a secret. So why can't we do it?" I
it
think
was
we could have
fantastic.
actually started smoking, and it still wouldn't have worked.
Oh,
She still would have kept
definitely
smoking.
not. She would have kept on. Even if it was in secret, she wouldn't have
Yeah,
stopped.
no.
Like I said, the only
Mm-mm.
thing that stopped her was literally breaking her hip.
Well, and see, but the thing was, before she broke her hip, she told us she had quit smoking, and she
Hmm.
had snuck outside
During our family Christmas party.
where there was about 60 people at our house,
Hmm.
and somebody came in and said, "Hey, your granny, she's failing. She's really, really hurting bad." They said she was out there smoking and she failed. And we're like, "She doesn't
She
smoke
was what?
anymore. Are you sure that's her?" And they're like, "Yes, we know her. Of
We've
course it
known her our
is.
whole life,
It's
yeah.
literally our family." So we go outside, and sure enough, she had
Mhm.
started smoking probably 3 months before that and
Oh,
was
yeah.
hiding it from us.
So, what's
And her busted hip
yeah.
busted her essentially.
I mean, did you really have a family Christmas party if you didn't have to, have an ambulance come and cart your granny away because she broke her hip while smoking in secret?
There's no parking spots in our driveway,
Mhm.
so we were having to have people hurry up and shuffle their vehicles to across the road so that the ambulance could.
It was like white trash Tetris, I'm telling
It
y'all.
really was.
That same night.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I know what
Okay,
you're gonna say.
so our cousin, I won't say his name because I don't know if he wants it on here, but you know who you are.
A cousin that's very close to us. We'll
Yes,
say that.
and very ginger. I'll say that.
Yeah, he
Not
is
that
a
that
ginge.
matters at all. I love him to
I
death,
feel like
but
it adds to the mystique of the
it
story, but
does. It
it
does.
does.
Yeah.
Everybody loves a ginger.
He does in fact have a soul, just so you know.
He does. He
A
does.
beautiful one at that.
Hmm.
But he was sitting at the kitchen table, which had a window, like kind of, if you were sitting sideways at the kitchen table, it would be behind you. He's sitting there talking and didn't know that our mom had a little decorative candle lit sitting in the window. So he's like leaned back talking, and then next thing you know, his shoulder is on fire. Like the whole shirt, like the shoulder is in flames. It was a flannel shirt. By the time he noticed, everybody's like, "Oh my God, you're on fire."
So they put him out, and then he leaned back again and got himself on fire for a second.
Mhm. Yeah, he did. Right around the same time was when our granny broke her hip and the ambulance was like loading her up.
Yeah.
As they were loading her up, we caught our ginger on fire.
Yeah, there was some
So,
people
yeah,
that didn't come to the Christmas party the next year, and I understand.
I get
It
it.
was a lot.
But, you know,
It
at the
was a lot.
same time, like,
That's just kind of who we
it
are.
was a blast, though. It was a fun party.
Besides the broken hip and the
Yeah.
fire, it was
Aside
good.
from, you know, the ruined flannel shirt, the potential trauma of said ruining a flannel shirt, and, you know, the titanium plates that was put in her
Yeah,
hip,
yeah.
aside from all that, it was fun. It was a good time. But
But he didn't catch his ginger hair on fire, and that's really what's most important.
yes, that is the
So,
most important thing because he has beautiful hair and gosh, his hair's bigger than ever now.
oh yeah,
It's an afro
it
and
is.
I
It's an
love it.
afro.
It's
It's
gorgeous.
beautiful.
Absolutely. Curly, beautiful red mullet. You know, like it's a lot and it's beautiful.
It is.
Speaking of that house that we were talking about,
Mm-hmm.
where, you know, Granny broke her hip and our cousin caught on fire.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember all the spooky stuff we used to have happen there?
Yes. So at the time, that house was 112 years old. Is that correct?
It was built in 1900, yes. So
Yes.
that was,
We'll say 113 years old.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was around 2013-ish.
I had a lot of spooky stuff happen there. At first, it was a really cozy house anyway, regardless of the spooky stuff. But when we first moved
So.
there, we were we were essentially moving from a extremely haunted house that we will get into later. We're not going to talk about that today
That's gonna
because
be a multi-parter,
that's
probably.
going to be
So
like a 2 hour episode probably.
yeah,
But so we had lived at that house and essentially had to flee that house. And that sounds dramatic, but it's really not. When we talk about it, you're going to understand. But we had moved to the house that our granny broke her hip at
twice.
twice. Yeah, she broke her hip twice in 1 year. Yeah. So that house was super cozy, but like we said, it was like 113 years old. Everything was fine for a little bit. We would have like little things happen here and there. The first thing I could think of was our dad had heard someone talking. He remember that he heard a man talking in the garage. Do you remember that?
Oh, I forgot about that.
And it was just kind of like he caught part of a conversation. He said he thought it was the neighbors, but there was nobody out there. I think he was just trying not to freak us out because of everything we had went through in our previous home.
Mhm. The first night we stayed there, I did not sleep a wink that night.
Really? I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
our bedroom closet, we shared a room at that point because it
Mhm.
was a two-bedroom house, but the master bedroom was huge, so me and her shared it and then our parents took the smaller room. Um yeah, our
We had
closet,
essentially shared a room in our previous house, so we were kind of used to being right there
yeah,
next to each
we've
other.
always been close, it didn't really
Yeah.
matter.
No.
The closet in our room, it
Mm-mm.
terrified me.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like I don't know what it was. But I stared at that closet the entire night. I could
Mm.
not sleep. I just had a bad feeling.
Mm.
And it always creeped me out. And like there were times I would go in there and the light would be working perfect. And
Mm-hmm.
as soon as I walked in, it would like start flickering or just shut off altogether. And
Else, did my husband walk out of here?
yes.
Okay, I was making sure he wasn't about to jump downstairs. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, he walked out.
Okay.
Dear God, I hate you. You're such a butthole. I know that was my husband. Go on.
Okay, so the way this house was laid out was kind of strange. Whenever you come in the front door, the doorway to your left was our bedroom, and then you would walk through our bedroom to go to the kitchen. It was really weird.
It was a farmhouse. It
It
was an
was,
old
yeah.
farmhouse. I believe that the kitchen had been added on. I don't think that it was as old as the rest of the house,
Yeah, the kitchen was built on in the
but
50s, is
yeah,
what we were told.
still old, but not as old.
Not as old, yes. So the kitchen always freaked me out too for some reason. I don't know why.
Yes, I have a story about that in a minute.
Like, it was one of those things, kind of like with the closet. You felt like you were being watched.
Mm-hmm.
And like by something really dark and creepy. It could be daytime.
Yeah.
And if I was in there, I either had somebody with me or I was getting out as quick as I could. I don't know why. Like,
It was
and
also always cold in there too. The
yes,
temperature was different than the rest of the house, which it didn't
hmm
logically didn't make any sense, but
yeah,
it
it really
was.
didn't. Which I wonder if that was because of that sinkhole. Maybe that's why it was colder.
Could have
There
been.
was a sinkhole on that side of the house. There was like ice cold spring water running down through there. Like at one point, our dad, he had like a 30-foot pole and he, kind of put it down in there to see how deep it was. And he didn't touch the bottom.
Yeah, which was terrifying because
Absolutely terrifying.
our parents had pretty much sunk everything that they had into this house and were still making, of course, payments on it.
Yeah.
So we were a little freaked out by that, but
Yeah, because this sinkhole was getting bigger and
it
bigger.
was getting bigger.
And actually, our cousin lives in that house now. And
Hmm.
from what I understand, that sinkhole is still growing.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and they have also had a lot of experiences in that
Hmm.
house, paranormal
Yes.
wise, and like some really scary things. The laundry room, it had a little closet in it, and the ceiling of that closet lifted up to go to the attic. That attic was terrifying.
It wasn't done. You had to step on the
Yeah.
rafters. Now,
It was like
since our
rafters,
cousin,
insulation
yeah,
rafters.
since
Yeah.
our cousin has moved in, somebody in between us after we left, somebody
Mhm.
had bought it and remodeled the attic and kind of made
Mhm.
it an upstairs area.
Mhm.
And from the pictures I saw, it looks really nice,
It
but it
does.
is
Yeah.
creepy.
They've done a great job on it, but
Yeah.
it is terrifying. I truly, the couple times that I went up there, like the whole time we were living there, I honest to goodness thought I was going to find a body up there or something because
Hmm.
it was that just freaky. The creepiest thing is that there were multiple times, like whether, everybody was there or whether it was just me home alone, there were multiple times that I would be sitting there watching TV or something and I could hear boots, like cowboy boots,
Hmm.
walking up there. There's no floor. It's just rafters. Well,
Yeah.
at that point anyway. It was just rafters, but it sounded like,
Hardwood.
yeah, it sounded like cowboy boots walking on hardwood. I didn't love that. And like stuff would roll across the floor, but the thing is, the floor was a little bit uneven, but like say here's the high side, here's the low side, stuff was rolling up and not down. So it wasn't just like gravity, it was just something spooky.
Like she said, the kitchen was very spooky. I really remember things starting to get bad and I'm not going to go into much detail about this because I don't want to make it seem like we're bashing anybody. Our parents got a divorce. It wasn't the most friendly divorce at the time. Now everything's fine.
Yeah, they're good
Everybody gets
friends now.
along.
Yeah.
Our stepdad and our dad get along great.
Hmm.
Our stepmom and our biological mom get along great. We're
Hmm.
all one big happy family now. 10 years later, we can look back and
Hmm.
laugh, not laugh on these things, but laugh about it. But everything's good now. At the time, there was a whole lot of chaos going on,
A lot of
and
tension.
I wholeheartedly believe that it created possibly some kind of poltergeist or some kind of something that was really fueling the fire for whatever was already there, is the
Hmm.
best way I can explain it. As our parents were really getting into the bad part of their separation, our very best friend passed away. Her name was April.
She was 17 years old and
Yes.
passed away only 19 days before her 18th birthday.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she wasn't our friend, she was our sister, and she had been our
Hmm.
little sister since she was 5 years old. 2015 was still to this day the worst year of my life.
I
April
agree.
passed away, and then my father in law passed away about 3 months after that. We also lost our house. That was kind of leading up, so you can understand that there was a whole lot of tension, devastation. So
Hmm.
we had noticed like a few things here and there, but it seemed like after April died, it really amped up. Lights flipping on and off, and I was like, what is this? Like, we didn't really know what was going on. That was honestly not even a big deal because we had already been so traumatized from everything that had happened before. We just really weren't faced by
Yeah.
that. B had already moved out and was living with our grandparents. So it was me and my husband and our mom living in this farmhouse at the time. And so it really started to get scary. We would hear things at night, like we would hear footsteps in the living room. There would be nobody in the living room. Eventually, our mother moved with B and our grandparents. So it was just me and my husband. And that's when things started getting really scary. Basically, it was just me and my husband there. He was driving a company vehicle at the time. I didn't have any vehicle. We didn't have cell phones. So when he left for work, he was working. When he left for work, I was out in, the middle of nowhere and I had no phone, I had no vehicle, and it got to the point where he almost quit his job because he was so scared to leave me in that house by myself. We did have neighbors that were there sometimes, so if there would have been an emergency, I could have went to them. But it was really scary. It sounds crazy, but I swear that there's a demon in that kitchen, and
Yes.
it would go around the rest of the house, but it stayed in the kitchen at night.
Okay,
So,
specifically what end of the kitchen? Because I want to know if it lines up with what I think about
the
that.
far end,
Next to the porch?
next to the porch.
That's exactly
Yeah,
where I felt it. It
yeah,
like, even though that corner itself wasn't like actually visibly dark,
yeah.
it just, even if all the lights were on,
It just
it
had a
felt
different feel.
dark.
And this was a small kitchen. This was not a big kitchen at
Yeah.
all, but you could feel the difference. So, at night, like I would refuse to go in there. I would make my husband get up and go with me. And so, probably
Mhm.
the scariest thing that I ever had happen, where me and my husband were sleeping, used to be our parents' room. So it had a lock, so you could lock it from the inside, so
Mhm.
nobody could get in there to us. I mean, they could if they broke down the door, but couldn't just turn it and go in. So, the fan that we had at the time, it was one of those like kind of industrial fans, and when you flipped it to turn the speed up or down, it made a very distinct click noise, and you really had to yank it to make it move. So I remember laying there one night and my husband was asleep. We were just laying there and I remember kind of hearing some rustling in the living room and I woke him up and so he was kind of sitting up. And then all of a sudden we heard the fan click and turn off. And then we heard it go from there was 3 settings and we heard it go low, medium, and high. We flipped on the light. Of course, there was nothing there and it was just on full blast. But
Makes me
this
think of the Blake Shelton incident.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to
We'll
that,
get
yeah,
to that
yeah. We've got too
in
many stories
our
to do, and
series about our
yeah,
haunted house that we had to
yeah.
abandon. Which, if you don't know who we are, which most of you probably don't, we don't really mingle.
We're not very we're
We're
not
not
very
super
popular
social.
people, no, we're
Um,
not.
we're popular with the people we do know,
Yeah,
ish. Anyway, that's not the point. If you listen to Morbid with Ash and Elena in Listener Tales 86, they actually covered the story about our haunted house. That was just parts of my point of view. There were
yeah,
things that I had forgotten that I remembered later after I'd sent it in. It was too late. And then there were other developments. There was her side of the story, our
yeah.
mom's side, like things that happened to them. But if you have listened to that episode, then you know what the Blake Shelton incident
Mhm.
was.
That's her claim to fame, that was yeah.
I've listened to that episode so many times. I love it. That's what it
So,
reminds me of. Your little
yes,
fan thing, the Blake
yes,
Shelton thing.
definitely.
We'll cover that. We'll get there.
So the scariest thing that I ever had happen in that house, like I said, it was just me and my husband. We didn't even have any animals in the house at that point. We had brought my husband's dog over like a few months later, but at this point, it was just me and him. We were well aware that something was in the kitchen lingering and that it roamed around at night. So, and I'd even saw like shadows in the kitchen. So we didn't go in there at night. So we closed our door and we locked it and we had a little night light in there, and that's the only light that we had. We didn't sleep with our TV on or anything because at that point,
Psychos.
well, at that point though, like I said, again, back to being broke as a joke. There was no like satellite over there. We didn't have Wi-Fi. We didn't have anything. So like we would watch DVDs, but then after the DVD stopped,
You just leave it on that play menu and let it play
well,
over and over and
sometimes I
over
did.
again.
Sometimes I did, but this night we didn't. We had like a little light on, and that was it. We didn't have anything. I don't even think we didn't even have the fan on because it was winter. let that be a point. So
Oh, see.
there was no like sound on.
That's where you and I are very different because even in
Yeah.
the dead of winter, I have that fan on,
Well, it was
even if it's on
cold. It
low.
was cold that night.
It was very cold in that house,
It
though,
was.
so
The entire house was
understandable.
cold.
I would have
So,
had 10 blankets on, though, with the fan on.
yeah.
Just saying.
I was kind of starting to doze off, but I wasn't asleep. And I heard something at the bottom of our bed, and it sounded like footsteps at first. And then I heard what sounded like whispering. And so, like I said, my husband's asleep. And
Hate it.
so, I know, I hated it too, trust me. So,
No thanks.
I kind of like, I sit up in bed because I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And I hear talking at the end of the bed. And then I hear, I'm not going to say the name because, I don't want to repeat it.
We're not conjuring anything
No,
up
we're
in
not
here.
conjuring anything. But
No, ma'am.
whatever this was, I believe it was a demon,
A
said its name 3 times to me.
Nope.
And then it let out the most horrendous evil laugh I've ever heard. I mean, it sounded like something out of a horror movie.
No, thank you.
And I was froze. I couldn't move. I couldn't. It took me, no joke, 5 minutes to be able to just squeeze my husband's like arm tight enough to where he woke up because I was just froze. And so I woke him up. I finally got out that something was at the bottom of our bed. So he flipped the light on. Of course, there was nothing there. It took me a little, probably 10, 15 minutes later to tell him what it said to me. He said, Bran, I'm almost positive that is a name of a demon. And so, sorry, I said my real name. That's why she's giggling. We had to cut it out. He said, I'm almost positive that's like a demon name. We looked it up, I believe, the next day when we went to our mom and papa's house where they had Wi-Fi.
You jugled the demon name?
I did. And sure enough,
Isn't that, does that work the same as saying it?
I don't know if it does, but I just,
I mean, I don't know. Can demons see if you Google them?
I don't know. I just trusted that the Lord was going to protect me, and I didn't, so.
I mean, that's fair. Also, your government agent was probably like, what is this girl up to?
But it was, sure enough, it was, and granted, I know that they don't have a Rolodex of demon, identification on Google.
They might.
But it basically said that, like, it gave a full description of, like, this was a specific demon. That's the only way I know how to describe it.
Okay, but
that terrified me.
Can we take a second? Because I actually really love the idea that there's just somebody somewhere with a Rolodex of demon names.
There could be. Honestly, somebody could have, that could be somebody's life's work.
It's, oh gosh, Bob? Is it Bob from Beetlejuice? Was that his name?
I've never watched Beetlejuice.
What? What?
Never watched it.
I'm channeling my
never watched Nightmare. Never watched Nightmare Before Christmas either. I know our sister Brittany. Our sister Brittany would probably disown me if she knew that. But go ahead.
You need to watch at least Beetlejuice. You need to watch them both, but especially Beetlejuice.
Okay.
But I just imagine I can't think of it, but I'm pretty sure it's Bob, the dude with
I don't know, so I'm gonna take your word for it.
Big dude, tiny head, and like a shrunken head, and I imagine would have a Rolodex of demon names.
I'll have to watch it and give you my input.
Called, right? Rolodex?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought so. For some reason, I guess because I said it a few times, it lost all meaning.
I don't think people really probably use them much anymore.
You don't know.
But maybe they do.
I guarantee you there's probably a Rolodex here somewhere.
Actually, I think that we might have Rolodexes at work.
And that is Brandon B on Rolodexes.
Yeah. That's our professional opinion. Not long after that, my husband had a dog that he had basically rescued. Kane or Bear. He was half Rottweiler, half Wiener dog. I'm sorry, half Rottweiler, half Basset Hound.
Now, hold on. Let me set the scene for you with this dog.
Go ahead.
Imagine.
Now, don't go talking about my boy now, okay?
No, I loved him.
Okay.
That was my dude.
Okay, go ahead.
Imagine the body of a Basset Hound with the face.
No, the body of a Rottweiler.
No.
He had legs of a Basset Hound.
He was thickums.
He was.
Like a Rottweiler.
Thickums, he was.
But he had the legs of a Basset Hound, and his head was very much Rottweiler also.
Mm-hmm.
But just imagine I mean, basically a Rottweiler with slightly Basset Hound features, but with
Yes.
short, tiny little legs. He was a big old boy. I miss him.
He was a big old boy, and he was my baby. Like I loved that dog, and he was very protective over me. There were times where we would just be sitting there watching TV, and he clearly was seeing something I was not seeing, and he would stand up. He was a very, very smart dog. Him and my dog that I have now are probably the smartest dogs I ever had.
Okay, so I was sitting
What?
here thinking
What?
that, like, after the whole, like, Damon at the
Mm-hmm.
bottom of the bed thing
Uh-huh.
happened, I was sitting here thinking, yeah, no, that's when I would have noped out of there. But
Yeah.
that's a lie because essentially the same thing happened at the other
Yeah.
house to
Yeah.
me, and I, in fact, did not leave.
Yeah, you can't
So,
nope out if you don't have another option, you
yeah,
know?
and, with the other house, I was 15 going on 16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
15
had
when I was
just
16.
turned 15, and yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I
Um,
can't say anything.
no.
I was sitting here thinking, yeah, I would have got out of there.
Yeah.
But then I was like, huh,
There.
that happened to me, and I didn't
Yeah, we're in a
until
homegirl.
until things got much, much
Yeah.
worse.
So
So, yeah, that
he
was me being slightly judgy and then checking myself at the door all in my head.
yeah.
So carry on.
I appreciate you checking
Yeah,
yourself.
I just wanted to let you know that. You're
Thank you.
welcome. Yeah.
So me and him would be sitting there watching a DVD or something, and in the living room, he would just stand up, his fur would bristle up, and he would just let out this low growl, and he would stand right in front of me.
Mm.
So whatever it was, he was protecting me from. His tail, it stuck straight up. It was a
Mhm.
long tail, and we called it the navigator. And so he would do this thing where if he was being protective or he got scared, his tail would like shake a certain way. So he would like the navigator would start shaking, and I'd be like, he's seeing something clearly.
It do be
So
navigating.
it was the navigator was navigating. Me and my husband were in bed, and Kane was like kind of laying next to me. We were watching a movie. Nothing really was going on. We were there by ourselves. He stood up in the bed and was staring at the door, eyes locked on the door, and it wasn't even like a low growl that time. Like he was barking, growling. And so we went out there. There was nobody out there. But when my husband walked out the door to like see if there was anything out there, he was still barking at the same spot. So whatever
See,
it was had not moved.
see, that was your first mistake, was going and seeing what it was.
Well,
That's when you keep the door shut, you hunker down, you tuck those feet in
yeah, but
so the
see,
demons can't get you.
also we at that time, this house that we lived in lived right next to a road that was crackhead alley. We're gonna say there was a lot of drug activity on that road.
I thought you were going to talk about the motorcycle club because I was going to say
There's a
they
motorcycle
are
club
not
too.
threatening.
No, we're not talking about the motorcycle club. No, there was I don't
we
want to get into
we
my
know some of the people
husband's
that are in
story, but
it. They're not a threat.
there we knew that this road was it was a drug road. So there was sometimes you would see people walking down the road, you would see people that, and we didn't have a vehicle at this point either. My husband like had his company truck, but we had to turn that in on the weekend. So like a lot of times there wasn't a vehicle in the yard. So somebody could think, "Oh, there's probably nobody home," because the side of no car being there.
Quick question.
So, yes,
If he had to turn in on the weekend, how did he get to
they
work?
dropped him. They would drop him off and pick him back
Oh,
up.
okay. That makes
They're
sense.
dropping him off and
Okay.
picking him back up.
Fair
So
enough. Carry on.
we needed to make sure that nobody was coming in to hurt us.
That made me think of this one time at that house. Hold on, I'm sorry. I have to tell you this.
What is it?
And I know you probably remember this. It was when Granny was living with
Uh
us
huh.
and Mom was, taking care of her full time.
Mm-hmm.
It was also when our friend, I'll just say her name, Carly.
Oh,
It was when Carly was living with us,
yes.
remember? And me and her were about to go somewhere, I don't know, probably
You're
Walmart.
gonna get off on another tangent. Go
No,
ahead.
this is a fairly quick
It is
story
a fairly quick
for
story.
me
Yes.
anyway.
Okay.
Me and her were walking out the door to go get in the car to go to
Mm-hmm.
wherever we were going.
Mm-hmm.
And we swing open the door, we're chattering, laughing, whatever. And all of a sudden there's a man, like a grown man, standing in
Very
front of
tall
us,
man.
covered from head to toe in blood, looking like he just went 12 rounds with Rocky
He'd been
Balboa.
chewed up and spit out.
Yes. And I mean, who knows how to react to that?
Yeah.
So
No.
me and her both scream and slam the door in his face.
Yeah.
We didn't know
And
what to
so
do.
I opened the door because they're freaking out. I was like, how can we help you? Because he's clearly bloody. He very quickly, even though he was intoxicated, he very quickly told me that he was our dad's friend. He knew our
Yeah.
dad.
Which I had met him, and once I
Yes.
realized who he was, I was like, I'm so sorry I slammed
Yeah.
the door in your face. Like,
He very quickly
yeah.
realized that he needed to like tell us who he was before he got
Which he
further into
understood. He's like,
Yeah.
I've never been to this house. I just showed up at the door bloody.
Yes.
You weren't expecting to see me. Like, I am not offended by you screaming.
No.
And turns out he had been jumped
Yeah.
and got the
He
crap beat out of him. I reckon he's okay. Or
he was good.
he was fine.
So
I
they
think
went
he's
to
still around
Yeah, you
somewhere.
and Carly went to Walmart or wherever you were going. Dad had ran up to the store, I think, to get our granny something. And so we called him and we were like, hey, I
Your
don't even
friend's
remember
here
that
and he's
guy's name.
bloody. It was
Like,
Alan.
he's Alan, yeah.
I don't know why I remember that. That's been
Like,
12
Alan's
years
here.
ago.
He's bloody. We've got him on the front porch. I'm like going back and forth getting wet rags, like trying to help clean this man up because he's a bloody mess. So yeah, like she said, he got jumped and he was inebriated, and so he had basically drove his vehicle down to our house. So he had called his wife. Remember? Yeah, because he had to come back the next day to get his vehicle. He had
Was it that
drove.
pole
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the yard?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, because,
Yeah.
and I'm sorry. One very brief side note. Do you remember that time we were on our way back from our other friends and it was raining and you were driving and you slid into that pole in my Blazer?
No.
I remember that. You wrecked my Blazer.
Okay, anyway.
Sorry, tangent. Carry on.
You got off on that tangent and I haven't even finished my story.
So sorry. I had to throw in the bloody Allen story.
Okay. So, Alan was bloodied up. Me and Mom tried to help him the best way we can. Got him something to drink, help him sober up a little.
Yeah, they were cleaning him up. Me and Carly, traumatized, decided to go get a little snacky snack from McDonald's.
I think or Sonic somewhere. Y'all left, but we offered to let him come inside, and he said, "No, I'm too dirty to come in your house. I'll just stay out here."
I'm too bloody.
Because
Sorry.
that house did have a really cute covered porch, but
yeah, I had to bring that up because that was one of the stranger things that occurred there.
it was
opening the door to a bloody grown man. Yeah.
So that's pretty much some of the things that happened there. I don't think we really had anything happen out in the yard like we did our old house. Over at that one, I think that was pretty much just in the house where we really experienced.
I had something happen out there.
Well, do tell.
I heard a man's voice. I thought it was the guy with the horses and the donkey named Grady. Yeah. The donkey's name was Grady.
They loved so sweet.
They were so cute.
So sweet.
I still wonder how
they loved
they're
peppermints.
doing. And they love Jolly Ranchers. And so I would just after every big holiday, I'd go get discount candy and just have it on deck to feed them. That's beside the point.
So sweet.
I heard a dude. I don't know who it was. It wasn't.
It was
Wasn't Lloyd. Wasn't
just
horse guy.
Disembodied voice. You're just dropping names right and left, ain't you?
I'm cutting part of that out. There's a lot of Lloyds in the world. Okay. I think that was his name. It might not have been.
It was. I just didn't expect you to say it.
Oh, well, okay. It was Boyd. Cloyd.
Now you gotta leave it in because
it was
funny.
Sigmund and Freud.
You gotta leave that in now. It's fine.
Anyway,
but it was the cutest.
I didn't drop last names, so it doesn't matter.
You didn't. It was the cutest house, and still to this day, I think it was probably the prettiest house that we've ever lived in. It was beautiful. Had it's really funny because the porch was painted blue, the ceiling and everything, which I don't know if y'all have heard about paint down here in the South, but that was a big thing back in the day.
Have I heard of paint?
Do you don't know what paint is?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna teach you something.
I don't know. Tell me.
So back in the day, which would have been the time frame that this house was built, they would
surprise me about paint, whatever it is.
It's a big. They might do it up. They might have done it up north too, but I know, especially in the South, that they would paint the top of their porches blue because they said that it would repel the haints, the ghosts.
Oh, I actually love
it would
that.
Keep them
I'm really
white, just like the bottle trees, how they would put bottles on the branches of trees.
See, I always just thought that was for prettiness and for the sounds.
No, because they say that if there is a spirit or a haint, as we call them in the South, if there's one nearby, they will look. I think like look at the reflection of the bottle or something, and then they'll get trapped in the bottle. That's
I like
the
that, but
I
I
can't
also
believe
just
I taught you something
I
today.
always just thought that those bottles were so pretty.
They're beautiful.
It makes me think of Because of Winn-Dixie.
Mm-hmm. But that's what
Remember
it is. That's what a bottle
her
tree is.
her lady friend that had all the bottles in the trees?
Yeah.
I
But
loved her.
the paint clearly did not work on that house.
No,
So
okay, here's the thing though. I think the paint worked on that porch because I didn't get any bad vibes from that porch.
this is true. The porch was lovely.
The porch was,
But that's
oh,
kind
I
of the
loved
point
it.
of paint. It's supposed to like protect your house.
Okay, well, you know what?
So
That
it didn't
failed.
work.
But if you think about it though, the kitchen was built on later. What if the paint was there before the kitchen was? And so it was like, warranty null and void. You didn't have this kitchen, so it's not covered. You know what I mean?
You're thinking too much into it now.
No. I think paint covers whatever is there then. But I know that closet was there in that attic.
Yeah,
So you know what? The paint didn't work, but the porch wasn't haunted. I didn't feel so that's good.
No, the porch was cutesy. Like I said, we had our wedding reception there because me and my husband, we didn't have a big wedding. We got married in the preacher's living room, and then we had our reception on that porch, and it was very cutesy. It was just our closest, not all of our closest people. Some of our closest people couldn't be there, but it was, not that many people.
Yeah, I wasn't.
So I do have fun. You were there at my wedding, in my wedding reception.
I was at the wedding. I wasn't at the reception.
Are you sure?
Positive.
Okay, well, you were at the wedding. That's my thing. Anyway, we won't get into that. But anyway,
yeah, we had
we won't get into
some
that.
issues then.
But anyway,
we
I have fond memories on that porch. It was very cute.
The day of your wedding, I got my first speeding ticket.
You did.
I was mad. I was very mad. Yeah. I don't want to talk about it.
And then you got your second speeding ticket like not long after that.
Yeah, literally 2 weeks to the day after by the same state trooper. No, okay, hold on. Okay, give me a second.
Go ahead.
I gotta tell this real quick.
Go on your rant.
So, what happened was, I was going...
Was that an Alex James?
No, that's been in a lot of places.
We love Alex James, by the way.
Yes.
If we ever get big enough to where he would ever say this, we love you. And you've got me through some hard times in my life. Just your humor.
Same.
But go ahead, I'm sorry.
If I had some sunglasses on, what a books. But I don't have any on, so.
No. Go ahead.
Anywho. So, what had happened was, me and Carly, she was always with me at that point.
She's our other sister. She's our other unbiological sister.
Yeah, she's been through some weird situations with me. Mm-hmm. Anywho, that particular day, the wedding was on a Wednesday, which, who has a wedding on a Wednesday, sister?
Me. Okay.
Clearly, you weirdo. Anywho.
Our mother got married on a Wednesday, too. Thank you very much.
No, she did not.
Yes, she did. It was Valentine's Day, and it was on a Wednesday.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the first time.
No.
Like, to her father.
No.
Okay, well, that's different. That was a holiday. You just chose a random day.
Well, I mean...
Okay,
we got married quick. And it wasn't because I was pregnant or nothing. We just ready to...
Okay, that's not the point. Anywho, we were on our way to this wedding. Okay, we had to drive through a school zone. This wedding was at like 2 o'clock on a Wednesday.
It was not 2. It was 4 o'clock. It was 4 o'clock.
That's true. That is true. It was like 4 o'clock, and I was coming through here at around 3:15, which is when the school zone lights are on. But here's the thing. That particular day, it was a fall day, The way the sun was shining, it was one of those overhead school zone flashing lights. So the sun was shining on it in a way that I couldn't see that it was flashing. So I was going the normal speed limit through there.
Mm-hmm. But she was probably also talking, and not paying attention.
I don't know. Maybe I was. Maybe I wasn't.
Carly was with you. You were definitely.
I do be talking.
You were definitely yakking.
So I went under this, at the normal speed limit, not knowing that the school zone flashing light was on. And a state trooper pulled me over and wrote me a ticket for that. And I explained that to him, and he didn't care, and I was really upset.
He said, I don't care that your sister's getting married. I don't care that you're running late.
Yeah, I wasn't running late, for the record, until then. But yeah, and then literally 2 weeks to the day later, I was on my way to school, and I will admit this time I was just speeding. Okay, but I was going with the flow of traffic, and I
You'd
was the only
overslept.
one that got pulled over. I did. I overslept.
Because he recognized the car and said, "That's that old girl that I pulled over the other day."
Well, anyway, he walked up to the car, and I saw him coming in the rearview mirror, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's the same dude." And I just started crying. And he walked up to the window, and I was like, "Listen, I'm not crying to try to get out of this. I'm
Listen,
crying
Linda.
because I'm upset that it's you." And he just started laughing. He's like, "Understandable." And then he wrote me another ticket for like $260.
Understandable, but I don't care.
Yeah, he's like, "I don't give a dang." And yeah, so I had to pay out like $700 worth of tickets in the span of 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't
Thank
know.
God for your FAFSA money, probably, or you probably wouldn't have been able to pay
That
it.
was FAFSA money.
Yeah.
But
Thank God for that.
yeah, I was in school
Or
at that
you'd have
point.
been in the clink.
I mean, I probably could have fought it, but
I don't think you
didn't.
could have
Well,
it.
okay, the first
The
one.
same officer.
No. Here's the thing: the first one I probably could have fought. The second one I absolutely could not have fought.
No.
No, I
No.
don't know what I would have done. I wouldn't have done anything. I would have probably went to jail.
We would have like tried to sell plasma or something to get you. I've never done that, but I hear
I
you can
have.
make decent money, and I would
No,
have tried to do that to
listen,
get you out.
it's not worth it. I have sold plasma,
Okay.
and it is nightmarish because, okay, for me personally,
Mm-hmm.
I pass out every time I
Oh,
sell
yeah.
plasma. I'll be almost
Does
done.
it drain you more than like blood?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So the thing is, I will be like almost to the end.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're already doing the return and
Thinking you're
everything.
doing good.
And I'm like, yeah, I got this.
Yeah.
And then,
And then you
out.
don't got it. I got it.
That's not the sound I make. But
I understand.
the last time I did it, though, I violently passed out. And then I woke up and projectile vomited all over myself for like 5 minutes straight.
Yeah.
There was so much vomit, they had to give me clothes.
They had to give you a T-shirt, didn't they?
Yes, they had to give me a t-shirt.
Yes,
and
I
all
remember
they
that.
had was like a large. And girlfriend, let me just clarify. I have not been a large since middle school. I have not been a large since middle school. When I tell you, I walked out of there
We are two
looking like oh oh gosh, why can't I think of it? I was looking like Rob.
Deerdick.
No, not Rob Dyrdek. I love him though. No, Rob Schneider in that one movie where he's like,
Clarify.
"It's me, Jessica." You know the one. Didn't he
No.
wear a super tight shirt in there, or was that a different movie with him? I know it was him, and he had a really tight little shirt on, but that's what I felt like.
She had a tight shirt on. I don't know.
That's what I felt like.
I don't know.
And it was awful. And I never donated plasma after that because
Yeah.
I was traumatized, and I'm pretty sure everybody in that clinic was also traumatized
Yeah.
because
No.
it looked like the exorcism up in there.
Anytime I have to have a lot of blood drawn, my last pregnancy I had to have, I believe, 10 vials, 8 to 10. I mean, it was a lot. And I was sick because I was pregnant, and so I hadn't really ate much of anything, and that was probably the worst I've ever passed out. I'm like a fainting goat when I'm pregnant, to be honest. I could just fall over at any minute. Not that dramatically, but especially when I'm getting blood taken, it was bad. Yeah. I puke every time I pass out, though. When I wake up, I immediately have to puke. So I feel you there.
That reminds me of one of the most traumatizing first days of work I ever had.
Oh, was that when I had to come pick you up?
Yes. Okay, so quick story, and then we're going to have to end for the
Yeah, we're
night
gonna have to wrap
because
it up.
our mother has her children and needs
Yeah.
to go to
I
bed.
gotta go get my children.
So, anyway, I had started a new job. I won't say where, obviously, but
No.
it was a factory, and
Not too far from our house.
yeah,
From
not
the
very far from
house.
here. Basically, what had happened was they were spray painting these parts like maybe 20 feet away from where I was doing my upholstery job. Okay. Well, they had a fan on that was blowing those fumes directly at me, essentially. So, yeah, I felt the wooziness, and I was like, "Oh, I'm a pass out," you know. And
I'm fixing to go.
so all I remember is I turned around because like the girl that was supposed to be training me, she wasn't really, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway,
Is this the girl that we both know?
no. She was
No. I'm sorry. She was in the
she
office.
was
Go
the
ahead.
nurse, and I
I'm sorry.
could not stand her.
God.
I'm sorry. I
Oh,
don't
Lord,
like
you're so
her. I
rude.
still don't like her. I won't name names. I hope she's doing well. I hope she's eating, just not at my table. Okay, you know what I'm saying?
Go
Um.
ahead. Anyway,
Anywho,
she was very
interrupting.
sweet in school. I have not saw her since then. Quit being rude. Go ahead with the
Sorry.
story.
You and I had different experiences, but it's fine. So I turned around and I was about to ask the girl that was training me where the bathroom was because I just need to go sit down for a minute. And I was like, "Can you tell me where the bathroom?" And then I think that's all I got out was, "Can you tell me where the bathroom?" And next thing I know, I'm waking up. I'm sitting in the floor, and she's behind me, like holding me, like a Lamaze class style, like she was my partner and I was about to give birth or something. Anyway,
So she was essentially doing her job.
oh no,
Was
she was nice. I liked her. I
she
was
just
talking
wasn't
about the
train.
girl in the
She just
nurse's
wasn't
office.
training you though.
Yeah, I mean, well, it was
You
kind of
kind
one
of
of
rolled
those
your
where,
eyes, so I assumed it was.
well, okay, no, she was very nice. I feel like they just put too much on her plate that day.
Yeah, I get that
So
too.
it's not hate towards her.
No, because I'm not good at training people in my job. I'm like, this is how I do it.
Let's
I
see.
don't know if that's how you technically need to do
I was a
it.
great
But
trainer back in the day, but that's just, whatever.
okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Anywho, so I wake up, she's holding me like the father in a Lamaze class.
Very sweet of
And
her.
very sweet, very kind. I finally am like, whoa, what happened? She's like, you passed out. And I was like, oh, okay. The next thing I know, I'm throwing up all over myself, like into my lap. Everybody's looking at me like, you good? And I'm like, clearly not, So, yeah, they sent me to the nurse's office, sent me home, and I was traumatized. But I was like, you know what? I hate this job with a passion. I'm terrified to go back, but I'm going to give it another try. So I came back the next day.
Wait, hold on, let me pause. Because she calls me and she said, listen, I've got to come home.
They
And
wouldn't let
so
me drive home,
we let her drive home, which is good.
understandably,
That's
yeah.
good that they did. So me and our papa and my oldest child drive down there because, like I said, it's not too far from where we all live. We drive down there, and I had to get her in her car and drive her car back to her house. And our papa like
Yeah.
took my oldest, and so we had to have like this whole caravan to get her home.
Yeah, it was embarrassing.
And I think you puked again on the way home. Did you not?
I probably did.
I'm pretty sure I had to pull the car over because she puked again.
I was having a real bad time.
But go ahead. You gave it a second. You gave it a
Yeah.
second shot.
I came back that next day because I was like, your girl need that money. Like
Your girl couldn't hack it though.
well, here's the thing. I had left the job that I'd been at for over 2 years to
Yeah.
go there because it was so much closer.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a job. So I'm going to go back and give it another try. Maybe it'll be better today. I went back. I walked in, and
It was not better.
they just looked shocked. And I was like, hey. And they were like, we honestly didn't think you would come back after yesterday. And I was like, thank you. Like, you're making me wish I hadn't now. So I
It
went
was
back
a
to work.
Akko taco.
It was very awkward. It was very Akko and no taco.
No tacos are involved.
But they pretty much, I went back to work and I was like, nope, still hate this place. And we went on first break about 2 hours in. I went to the car. I called mom, bawling my eyes out, and I was like, I don't want to go back. And she's like, well, then don't.
She said, go.
Mom was like, if you're going to be miserable there, then don't. Like, call your job that you just left back. See if it's too late to cancel. Like, you're leaving.
To apologize.
Yeah. Let's see if they'll let you come back. And
But
I was
you
like,
didn't go back there either, did you?
no, I did.
Did you?
Yeah, I went back there for like.
Okay, so it wasn't too late to apologize. Okay.
Yeah, okay, so I had left there at about a year and a half in, and then I went back after that and worked there for another year.
Oh, okay. I didn't remember that. I'm sorry.
I did, and I loved that job. I would probably still be there if it weren't for the terrible management.
Our parents have always been very supportive. Is if it's making you miserable and it's taking your peace within reason. Now, obviously, sometimes you got to suck it up and do what you got to do.
Oh, I was inconsolable that day. Mom was like, "Get out of there."
If you can Just get Adeline out of there. You know,
Yeah.
they've always been very supportive of that. And
Mom was like, don't even say anything. Just don't go back in.
just
Turn your
leave.
car on and leave.
Just go.
And you know what I did? I turned my car on and I left. I didn't say a
She
word
didn't
to
go back.
them.
She didn't go
They
back.
tried to call me, I think, one time, and I was like, nope, it's fine. And then I
Yeah.
went back to my old job. But, anywho, we are actually going to wrap this up for the day
Yes. I've had fun.
because we have rambled for far too long. And honestly, y'all probably don't really even care about these stories, but it's fun. And we're having a good time.
We've had
And
fun.
yeah, so
Hopefully you've got an idea of kind of who we are and
mhm.
what this channel is going to be about, what the podcast is
Yes.
going to be about, and
On our next episode, or should I say next few episodes, because it's probably going to be probably a 2 or 3-parter. On our next episodes, we're going to be talking about our haunted house
yes,
that we actually had to abandon in the middle of the night because we were being terrorized, both mentally and physically.
Yeah.
So,
and we should probably call that like our barn house series. That way we
yeah.
can differentiate because we've
Mhm.
lived in several haunted houses, but this one was the worst.
This was by far the worst. Yes, we will refer to it as our barn house series, and we'll
Yes.
explain that a little
Yeah,
bit more
we will.
later. But if you enjoyed this,
We're just two sisters that like to yap.
yep,
We're professional yappers,
that we
essentially.
are. That we are.
And I would like to get that on a t-shirt for both of us.
I
Professional
agree.
yapper. Because that
Yes.
describes us perfectly.
But yeah, if you want to see more, like and subscribe, or if you want to hear more for the podcast listeners, like and subscribe. We do have a Gmail. It is reallyjanetpodcast@gmail.com if you would like to send in any like case suggestions or like haunted place suggestions for stories. If you want to send in your own stories, whatever you want to do, we will take those into consideration and we will try to do an episode on them.
Research them and get all the facts. Yep.
Yep. But thank you for listening, and we'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.